Folks, if you were tossing and turning at night, wondering why your mixes sound like they were just tossed in a blender, then welcome back, Mix Gladiators, to the Coliseum where weak mixes go to die, and strong mixes rise to eternal glory. Today, we're dissecting a critical part of the beast, workflow. This is highly important, as this is where I see a lot of you guys struggling. You guys have not developed a tried and true system to mix. You need something that allows you to plug and play tracks and start mixing with purpose. First up, organize your tracks. I already covered this in a previous video, but I need to go over it again. Why? Because chaos is the enemy of good results. Color coding and naming your tracks isn't just about looking pretty. It's about immediate recognition. You see red, you think drums. You see yellow, you think vocals. It's like having a map in the jungle, so you don't get lost in the foliage of just faders and plugins. Now that we've imported and color coded and named our tracks, set up your buses and routing. Imagine trying to control a school of fish with your bare hands. That's what it feels like when you're mixing without buses. By grouping tracks like drums, guitars, and vocals into buses, you're netting those fish. Now you can control them with just one fader per instrument group. It's about efficiency and control. And don't forget to set up your aux sends like reverb and delay. Why clutter your mix with the Stormer plugins on every track? Route them through aux sends, and suddenly you have access to your effects with a simple volume send. It's efficient, it's clean, and by God, it gives you domination over your mix. Let's jump over to the DAW so I can show you how.
Alright guys, in the DAW, I'm going to quickly set up some buses and routing on a basic mix. Highlighting all my drums, I'm going to route everything to a single bus just called drums. After that, I'm going to highlight all my toms, and then route them to a single bus called toms. And then any overheads and cymbal spot mics, I'm going to bus them to cymbals. Time for my rhythm guitars. Highlighting my rhythm guitars, I'm going to bus them to a bus called rhythm guitars. And then all my vocals are going to get highlighted, and then I'm going to send them to a bus called vocals. Now that I've done that, I'm going to take all my buses and route them to a master fader. Highlighting all the buses here, I'm going to hit B. I'm going to route them to a bus called master. I also like to highlight my master bus red. Now my mix looks color-coded and neatly organized.
It's time to set our rough balance and static mix. Unfortunately, I can't tell you how to do this. This is something that you learn over the years, but the best advice I could give you is set the levels where everything feels balanced and use reference tracks to kind of gauge where those balances should be. You can go ahead and keep it rough in this section. You're merely just sketching out the outline before you start painting. And as you're doing this, listen for the soul of the track. Maybe it's the guitar riff, maybe it's the vocals, or maybe it's the way the chorus hits before the pre-verse. These are going to be your North Star as to where to set the balances on your mixes. And if you're still having trouble, I have some guidelines in a previous video that you can check out here. Now here comes the part that y'all been waiting for. This is where we start to EQ and compress things. I tend to work in the same order almost every time on individual tracks. Starting with EQ, compression, then saturation, then any effects like reverb and delay. I also work in the same order as my tracks are organized, such as drums, then bass, guitars, vocals, and then finally any auxiliary tracks. However, it's totally not linear. I regularly jump back and forth between each element of the mix as I'm going. This is because each move affects the balance of everything else. Let's take a quick look at a mix to showcase this.
Alright guys, let's take a quick look as to how I would process a track in a mix. I have this kick drum that's been routed with kick in, kick out, and a kick sample going to a kick bus. And then that kick bus is going to my drum bus. Here is the raw kick drum. As previously mentioned, I like to start in the order of EQ, then compression, then any kind of saturation, and then any special effects. But seeing as this is just a kick drum, it's just pretty simple with just EQ, compression, and saturation. Here is the kick drum without any EQ. Here's the kick drum with EQ. Now that EQ is now going into my compressor on this channel. A quick side note, I like to EQ into my compression. This allows me to get much bigger EQ boosts without overbearing the mix. Moving on to the kick out, it's really not a big thing. I'm EQing and then going into a compressor. Then those two tracks are being routed into my kick bus where there's just a little bit more EQ, followed up by compression. And lastly in the chain is a saturation plugin. And that's pretty much it. This is pretty much how I process all the tracks in my mixes. Don't believe me? Let's take a quick look at a vocal. Here is a vocal with some processing. Here's that very same vocal without any processing. Starting in order with the EQ. Then introducing the compression. As you can see, all those big boosts on my vocals are making the vocal way too loud, but I'm able to control them with this compressor here. Ultimately, all of that processing in the mix is going to sound like this.
Alright, automation is where you become the conductor of the orchestra. Want to highlight that killer solo? Automate the volume. Need to add tension before a drop? Automate the volume down on the entire mix. There's so much to cover here, so this topic will get its own video. However, here's a few tips to get you started. Automate your kicks and snare with volume where you want the energy of the song to be more or less impactful. Automate your vocals so that it's sitting nicely above all the rest of the instruments so that it's never buried in the mix. You can also automate the rhythm guitar EQ to make room for when the lead guitars kick in.
Alright guys, into the DAW now. I'm showing you guys quickly some automation that I did on this master vocal here to make sure that it's always consistent in the mix. It looks insane, but unfortunately it has to be done on vocals to make sure that they're always going to be heard. Let's take a quick listen with the automation.
Wow, just quit with the righteous to jump and to stare. I've been giving a thought and I think that I'm done with everything you dare to believe that I need to seek out to survive this. Insanity brains, be free from the shackles of doubts I'm severing.
If I was to turn off that automation, you would hear that the vocal would just flatline.
Wow, just quit with the righteous to jump and to stare. I've been giving a thought and I think that I'm done with everything you dare to
You can clearly hear that some words are going to start sounding louder than others, and other words are going to be way too low to be heard in the mix. This is a perfect example to show you guys the power of automation.
This is where a big piece of my creativity in the mix starts to come out. I find interesting areas of the song or parts of the mix to add delay throws, reverb swells, or reverb tails, or anything else that I find cool. There's no real way for me to showcase this. I just suggest trusting your instincts and going with your gut, and experiment with many different things. Alright, finishing it up. You're on the last mile stretch. It's tempting to rush through here, but patience is key. Dim the lights, turn down the volume, and listen. And I mean really listen. This portion isn't about what just sounds good, but what feels good. Make your final tweaks, then start testing your mix in the real world. Test in your car, your earbuds, on your computer speakers, or anything else that you may feel that the audience is going to be listening to. A great mix is going to stand up anywhere. And if it doesn't, go back and tweak it just a little bit more. But don't keep tweaking until you end up with an entirely different mix. It's always better to release something that you already have that's 85% there than to release nothing at all. And there you have it, the roadmap from mixing moron to mixing master. It's a journey of 1,000 miles, but it begins with a single fader. Practice, experiment, and trust your ears. They're going to be the best gear that you own. And for those ready to sharpen their blades and refine their craft, I'm offering one-on-one coaching to take your mixes from battle-worn to victorious. Click the link below, book a free call, where I'll help you strategize your ascent to mixing mastery. Catch you guys in the next one.